we still have great personalities in our country who should be in places of authority doing that which is right. Persons like Barrister Inibege Fiam from Akwa Ibom State. Just listen to his interview with Arise News reporters and Lane and also Dr.
What would you advise the federal government to do at this point? I know that DSS said that they have identified the people that are behind the planned protest and they don't want to make an arrest. But there's also a letter that has come up from a group known as Take It Back Movement, who say that they are part of the organizers of the planned protest. They say that they wish to gather at the Eagle Square and also wish to visit the presidential villa during the period, which they say also might even go beyond the 10th of August. They've written to the FCT minister. I've seen that letter. It's been circulating on social media. Nyesom Wike has said that, he has not received any letter. But he has also been quoted as saying that the FCT is not available for protests because the same day is being fixed to celebrate some traditional rulers in the FCT. I'd like for you to unpack all of these.
That's the question. Thank you for having me. You see, sometimes if we want to get this right, we need to learn from the previous activities or what went wrong in the last EndSARS protest. I think that is where we should be drawing our narratives from and ascertaining what the security agents should be doing. I've listened to the brief from the defense headquarters and from other police formation, and I am not impressed with those briefs because carrying out protest is a constitutional right, but we need to also understand that we have the good and bad protests. A good protest are protests that are lawful, are going by the rules of engagement. Bad protests are protests that are violent. For example, blocking the roads, not allowing Nigerians to move around freely without being intimidated is under the classification of bad protest. So now, what we need to be looking at is that the police have rightly deployed, said they were going to deploy 4,000 plus troops. Now, the question I'll be asking is, it's not just all about deploying police officers, to mitigate any perceived or forthcoming threats. Do they have the requisite training? Are they trained on crowd control management? Because we must also know that the use of force must be seen as the last resort, which brings me back to the incident of the EndSARS that was not properly managed by the Nigerian government. So if we must get this right this time around, the military, the police must take a departure in the area of threatening the Nigerian people or telling them not to carry out this protest. Allow them to express themselves, allow them to carry out this protest peacefully, quote and unquote. But anything that has to do with bad protest or violent protest, I will not advise the Nigerian people to go into that.
All right, then I would like to bring it back to you, Inibehe, talking about the potential risks and mitigation. Let's speak about the constitutional provisions regarding the right to peaceful protest in Nigeria, on the backdrop of critics arguing that it could spiral into violence and cause more suffering. What are the legal protections in place for Nigerians? We just heard Dr. Osagie, of course, making reference to the EndSARS protest that happened in 2020 and how that spiraled into anarchy and chaos. Do you trust that the law enforcement agencies in being able to maintain public order while respecting the rights of Nigerian citizens to protest?
I think I should even say that I'm surprised that this one has said that 6 billion is being budgeted to manage the protests. It shows that the government, this country has money, really. Is this, are some people seeing this as an Owambe? What are they budgeting 6 billion for? But regarding your question, the Constitution is very clear, Section 39, that Nigerians have the right to freedom of expression. Section 40 guarantees the constitutional right to association and peaceful assembly. This right is not absolute because under Section 45, there are derogations to this right. For example, for the protection of public order, peace and safety and so on, the right to assemble may be curtailed where there is violence or riot. My concern is that the government is the one that is fueling the perception that this protest is going to be violent. I'm very active on social media. I haven't seen any indication that any person or group of persons are planning to unleash anarchy in the country. And let us even ask the question, how come that it is only when people are protesting against government or people want to carry out rallies against government that people will suddenly create this imaginary intelligence reports that hoodlums, miscreants are going to unleash violence. We saw Asari Dokubo leading protests in support of Tinubu during the tribunal. Asari Dokubo, the SSS did not gather any intelligence that hoodlums will hijack it. As a matter of fact, I have also seen groups planning to hold counter rallies and protests in support of the government. The police have not said anything about it. So this impression that some people are planning to burn the country is just fiction. They keep making reference to NSAS, and I choose to characterize this as fraudulent historians. It is fraudulent history to say that the NSAS protest was a violent and anarchy. The truth of the matter is that the crisis we saw, the violence we saw during the NSAS, took place after Nigerians were killed. That was what triggered the violence. Even Kenya that they are talking about, until the police opened fire on protesters at the parliament in Kenya, the protest was entirely peaceful. So the question is, are they planning to unleash mayhem on the country? Are they planning to kill Nigerians to instigate violence? That should not be the approach. If the government is serious, they should understand that people have the right to protest and stop giving us fake intelligence. The IG says he wants the name of the protesters, he wants to know the routes, he wants to know the founders. The SSS on the other hand says, no, we know those who are sponsoring it. So which one should we go for? This clearly shows that they are not serious. You cannot in one breath say, you know that foreign mercenaries are the one planning the protest, you have uncovered those behind it. At the same time, you are still asking for the identities of those who are behind the protest. Let the Inspector General of Police, let the SSS and the army, surprisingly, is issuing a statement on a protest. We are not in a military dictatorship. What is the business of the military issuing a statement on the matter? That can't even be tolerated in a democracy. Let the military remain in the barracks. The police should deploy, in line with the provisions of the Police Act, should deploy police to ensure that those who are protesting are protected. Because the court have even made pronouncement on this matter. Let us assume for a second that they actually have real intelligence, which I believe they don't have. That they have real intelligence that this protest can turn to violence. The court have ruled that the police cannot stop protests because of apprehension of violence. That the proper way to approach it is to ensure that those who are planning the violence are protected and the protesters are also protected. So let them stop creating this apprehension, this nightmare that the country is going to burn. Nobody is planning to burn the country. People are tired, people are hungry, people are desperate for solutions. The government is not providing solutions. And why does the president have to wait till the 1st of August? He can start this moment. Start this moment to effect the changes that people are asking for. Reduce the number of ministers, right? Cut the cost of governance. Tell Nigerians you are not going to purchase a new presidential jet with 150 billion. Tell us you have abolished the office of the first lady and the office of the first daughter and the first son, because we now have office of first lady, office of first son, office of first daughter. Can you imagine Folashade Tinubu making a statement yesterday threatening Nigerians not to protest, and you are telling people that you are running a democratic country? Begin to show us that you are serious. Send a bill to the National Assembly before the 1st of August. Make IREV a legal requirement in our election. These are things that people are asking for. You can do this thing before the 1st of August, but they are not doing that. Begin the fight against corruption. You are not fighting corruption. You are telling people not to protest. You are not changing the country. You are telling people not to protest. You are investing billions, about 22 billion, to build a new residence for the vice president. You are planning to build 5 billion to presidential yacht, and you are saying Nigeria should not protest. Even the Agbado that Tinubu promised Nigerians, people cannot buy anymore. You are talking about minimum wage of 70,000 that cannot buy a bag of rice. Nigerians have to protest. That cassava and Agbado that he promised us, he should provide it. Nigerians don't have what to eat. And you are telling people not to protest. Right. What is the alternative? All these fake bishops, fake student leaders that they are using to tell people not to protest, people are not listening to them. People are not going to listen to them.
Okay, Inebe, 2 questions from me, and those are questions that I would like you to start with, and then Dr. Osaje can also, also a comment. The first will be your thoughts on the processes and the targets of a protest like this one that has been proposed to start on the 1st of August. At what point, in your opinion, do you think that a protest will become meaningful? And I'm saying this on the assumption that it will be allowed to happen, and that it will not be violent. At what point will a protest achieve its aim before, say, for example, soldiers or police are sent out, to stop it, like we had during Occupy Nigeria, if you recall, in 2012, or during NSAS, when a stay-at-home order was given by the Lagos State Governor. And then the second part will be that, yes, you alluded to it yourself, that no right is absolute. So when protesters go on with their protest, but then block the roads, denying other citizens allowance to move about freely for their job, at what point would other citizens say, no, you are not allowed to do this? And what are the options before police or the military step in? What are the options for the citizens who may not agree with protests but want to go about their lawful undertakings? What options will be available to them to say, no, you can't continue with this. You can't stop me from moving to my office or from moving about. Inebe first, and then Dr. Sajay can comment. Regarding
your first question, I think the protest will be productive, will be seen to have yielded results depending on, whether the president is serious or not. My happiness is that Tinubu doesn't have ear problems like the former president. So I'm hoping that they will listen to what people are saying. When Nigerians are coming out on the 1st of August, I expect, and I have made the point, we don't have to wait till the 1st of August. If the president is serious, he can begin to address the concerns of the protesters. People don't just want to protest for the fun of it. So once Nigerians are seeing that their demands are being attended to, because the protest is scheduled to take place for 10 days. I don't know whether it will last for that duration, but I expect the government, right, to begin to attend to their demands. And once those demands are attended to, those who want to protest will naturally withdraw. Regarding your second question, it is very simple. Even under a state of war, like we have in Russia and Ukraine currently, we have what we call international humanitarian law. So even when a country is in a state of war, that does not give justification to apply maximum force. The principle of proportionality has to be applicable. So let us assume in the worst case scenario that, because really you can't have a protest without inconvenience. Some people will be inconvenient. There is no argument about it. Tinubu himself has protested and he inconvenienced people. So you cannot say that.
How did he inconvenience people?
Of course, the lead protest. Protest cannot take place in the bush. Protest has to be in a public place, except you are telling Nigerians to go to Sambisa Forest and protest. Right? Protest will necessarily inconvenience people, but that doesn't make it violent.
NSAS didn't necessarily inconvenience people, but Lekki Toge did, because you block the road, for those who are commuting.
Yes, I'm saying that the question is about management, right? I'm saying that in the worst case scenario, I'm not preempting violence. I don't see that any violence taking place. But in the worst case scenario, tear gas is there, water cannon is there. That is assuming that riot takes place. And I know riot is not going to take place because I've not seen anybody plan for riot. But what we must not tolerate is opening fire and killing people. Because historically, this is what always results to violence. Okay, so and I don't want that to take place. That is why we are warning ahead of time.
Yeah, can we just move go to Dr. Osaje for a bit if he doesn't mind?